All right, so now we are recording. We are officially going to start our first lecture. As I have informed you in the last class, okay, we will try to meet once a week, which are on Mondays, 12:50. And I requested that everybody switch on their cameras. So can you please start switching on your cameras, okay? Come on, so we can all look at each other. All right. So at least if you get bored looking at my face, you can find other faces to look at. Okay? All right. So this should be quite a large class. There should be around 50 over. All right. So I hope we can interact. Okay. And if you have any questions, don't be shy so that we can learn from one another. Okay. So today we're going to go for the introduction. So you can all refer to the first slides. Okay, I've already put it up on Google Classroom. You should already by now know how to access your slides. Okay. So with regards to textbook, like I told you, there is a book that you can refer to. I will share it with you, the image, I think later via WhatsApp. So much easier. Okay, but I have already informed you as well that if you never miss class and you can follow my lectures, right? The textbook is not that important. Can you follow? Because your exam questions, okay, will be based on the slides and on the lectures. But of course, the textbook will be helpful to give you extra detailed information or explanation. Okay. All right. So today we're going to talk about what is theory. Hold on, let me share. In the last class, right, I've told you in short that we live day by day, okay, based on theories. Where's my slides? Okay. That all of you are here today, okay, present today, although I'm sure you prefer to do other things because you know that you need the education. All right? Maybe somebody has told you, society has told you that you need education. There is a relationship. Okay? Education, high level of education, better work prospect, higher income. That is the theory. Okay, that is the accepted, what we call it, relationship. So theory is actually trying to explain certain relationship. Okay? Now, so, but, all right, we are always afraid of the term theory because we seem to think that theory is something that is abstract. We cannot see it. Okay? So, but when we talk about theory, scientific theory, it is different. Okay? Scientific theory is different from the theory that your mother or your grandmother tells you. Okay? So, today, all right, this is the learning objectives. Okay, I'm not going to go through these objectives. Okay, here this is just a reference for you to know what you're going to learn. And after we have finished the lecture, you can go back and see, did I understand these things? All right, do I understand, for example, okay, what is theory? Can I differentiate categories of theories? Okay, if you are able to do so, that means you have been able to successfully follow the class. Now, when we talk about theory, first we must remember we are in what we call as social science. Okay, what is it, social science? Okay, that's okay, you are considered human science. It's almost the same thing. Human science, social science, right? There's sociology, history, psychology, communication, political science, all right? So in social science, okay, what do we learn? What do we learn about? What are we trying to learn? We're really trying to learn about humans, human behaviors. Okay? How do humans behave? By socializing with one another. Okay? Now, what is the difference between science and social science? Now, we must understand a little bit of a history here. All right? Because you're going to go out and you're going to work as a PR practitioner, a researcher, or I don't know, a filmmaker, okay? But you realize, right, that all of these jobs that you're going to take in the future, they are not considered professionals. You can say, I am a professional filmmaker, okay, or a professional camera, what we call it, cameraman. But that is just a term. Professional means you need to be, what we call it, accredited. Okay, professional means your job, only you can do it, other people cannot do it. Okay, what do we mean by that? Now, if you are a filmmaker, you may be the best filmmaker, but can other people become filmmaker even if they don't go to film schools? Can or cannot? Can, right? All right, maybe they're going to be a bad filmmaker, but they can still be a filmmaker. All right? But for example, if I say to be a doctor, can anyone just claim to be a doctor? Cannot. Now that's the difference between professional and not professional. All right, if you need a wedding photographer, all right, it depends on your budget, right? If you have a lot of money, you can pay professional, import from US, from Jordan, from wherever, the best wedding professional photographer. But if you don't have the money, your brother can also take the photo, right? Okay. But, all right, if you fall sick, or if you suddenly lose your thumb, cut your thumb somewhere, you have money or don't have money, you go to the doctor, right? Or you say, help the brother, something wrong with my thumb, can you sew it back together? You won't do that. Okay, so that's the difference between professional and non-professional. Okay, so the same thing as what? Engineers. Can you just wake up one day, oh, so boring lah doing strategic comm. I want to become an engineer tomorrow. Cannot, right? Because you must do the practice. You must get the certificate. But if an engineer says, oh, I'm so bored of becoming engineer, tomorrow I want to become a filmmaker, can he do that? Can, right? Can. That is the yes, Muaz, is there any questions? So that is the challenge for our discipline. Right? Now, professional versus not so professional. And then professionals are usually coming from the science, what we call it, discipline. Okay, what is science? Okay, if a smart person, we call them what? Rocket scientists. Scientists are smart people. Okay, so science is when you study things that are strictly black and white. There is no other way around it. Okay, what is a scientific theory, for example? Scientific theory is actually a, what we call it, reality. For example, when you want to boil water, at what temperature is it considered boiled? What temperature is boiled water?
100.
100, right? So all of us know 100. So that is the theory. Reach 100, water is boiled. Germs, bacteria all die. Okay, if it's 98 Celsius, it's not boiled water. The same thing, right? When do water start to freeze? 0 temperature, right? Okay, 0 Celsius. So science is dealing with things that are factual. Okay, and when scientists say something, usually we agree, right? Okay, we don't question. When the doctor tells you, okay, Lukman, you have to take antibiotic. Do you ask the doctor, what is the proof? You show me why I take antibiotic. Okay, what is the relationship with this antibiotic and my, what we call it, whatever you are feeling at the time? We hardly question. Okay, why? Because we believe, yes, if this is the disease, this is the medication. Because doctors have told us that is the relationship. Okay, why do you believe doctors? Okay, why, for example, there are other theories, right? For example, if you always get headache, okay, and then doctors say, oh, there's something wrong here, you need to take Panadol or certain medication. Or you can go to the, what we call it in English, all these BOMO, or the traditional medication that say, oh, probably there is some evil spirits following you. That is also a theory. Okay, but why usually we follow the doctors? Why do you think you follow the doctors and not the spiritual leader or something like that? Or the BOMO? I don't know what you call
Because
BOMO. Yes?
we know for a fact that doctors use scientific method.
Yes. Okay? Because we believe doctors have gone to the university, have learned, has taken the research, has used all these, what we call it, accountable processes. They have the process, right? And they cannot just, give you any medicine that they like. There is a process that they have to follow. So that is science. Okay? We believe it to be true because we believe the process. Okay? And we believe that the person have the knowledge and it has been proven every time. Okay? Every time the water, it reaches 100 Celsius, it will boil. Okay? Every time your body temperatures go up to 39, you will fall sick. Every single time, proven. Okay? That is science. But us, we are social scientists. Okay? So what do we study? Okay? We study relationships among phenomena in the human and social world. Okay? Scientists would study things that are specific. Okay, like water temperature, like we said just now, okay, or certain, what we call it, chemical counts. But what do we study? Psychology. What do we study? How people think, okay, their mental health, okay, or sociology, we study interaction, communication, we study spoken words. Now, okay, what is the problem with social science? Can we be as accurate as science? Okay, when you study human. Okay, like I said just now, right, the theory is if you study really hard, you will get a good job and become rich. That is a theory. But the theory relates to humans. Does it happen most of the time? Yes. But does it happen all the time? No. Can you follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
All right. Okay. So the thing is, when we study human, traditionally, historically, okay, psychology, sociology, communication, we were not that respected. Okay, not respected by scientists, for example, because they see us as studying things that are abstract. Okay, you're studying people or whether people who have children are more happy. That's just abstract to them because you cannot prove it every single time. Okay, so initially we were called sociologists or psychologists. Of course, there's no communicologist, unfortunately. Okay, so our traditional, okay, in the historic, our older scholars, they say, oh, this is not fair. We study, okay, and what we study, psychologists are important, sociology is important. It's very important to study communication, but we are not acknowledged. Why are we not acknowledged? Because we are not scientists. Can you follow? Because what we study is very abstract. Okay, so that is why, okay, actually this is actually a result of the American scholars. Okay, unfortunately, yes, everything that we study, okay, American usually, especially communication. It is an American discipline. Okay, so they say, okay, fine. If our area, psychology, sociology, communication, okay, to be respected, what should we do? How to be respected? How to get acknowledged like scientists? Okay, we acknowledge, right, astronaut, we acknowledge, okay, the doctors, okay, the person who discovered the vaccine, okay, but we hardly acknowledge, okay, someone who says things, oh, people need help with their mental health. Okay, so that is why, okay, the scholars in the early days says we must become social scientists. So how to be scientists? That means even when we study human relations, even when we study communication, we must use specific methods. Can you follow? We must, okay, base our arguments with evidence. Can you follow or not? All right. So media research will tell you, for example, okay, social media is bad for children. That is just theory. So that theory must be very specific. You must detail out, okay, how did that bad impact occur? Okay, and when you say that is the relationship, you must show evidence. Evidence by what? Then there must be a lot of research to show, yes, that this is the relationship. Okay, then we can become somewhat scientific. Can you see? All right, it's very important that you understand this. Then only you realize why we need theory. All right, and that this theory is not just like your everyday theory. Okay, this is not just a theory that people say they don't apply in the workplace. Okay, this is the type of theories later on that we learn, okay, to make sure that we are acknowledged that whatever relationship that we suggest, okay, it is based on evidence. That's why we want to be considered social scientists. Okay, that this is social science. We are studying social, okay, we're studying human relations, but we are scientific. Okay, can follow so far? All right, okay. So when we study, what do we study in science? I mean social science. Okay, we want to study causality. What is causality? What causes what? What is that relationship? Okay. We want to study, okay, for example, what is the impact of Netflix on Muslim girls? That is causality, right? The key of studying in sociology, psychology, we want to see cause and effect. Okay. So we want to study causality when a given factor influences another, even by way of intervening variable. Okay? Okay, what? Intervening variables. You know there is variables, right? When you study independent variable, dependent variable. You've learned this, IV and DV. Okay, that everything's, there is cause and effect. Something causes something to happen. Okay, that is the relationship. Okay, but sometimes there are many other factors that also affect that relationship. And those are what we call intervening variables. Okay, so why do we want to learn causal relationship? Okay, so that when the alterations in a particular variable under specific conditions always produce the same effect in another variable. Okay, so we can prove that says if you go to university, you get better job. That is the relationship. Okay. Now again, why is this not just an everyday theory? Because there are evidences. There are proofs. Okay. Like what? Okay. People who have very good degree can get better job. Because why? Yes, because it is the requirement. Okay. But how do we get to prove this relationship? We must adopt scientific method. This is like I said just now, right? Because we are sociologists. We study social things. We study human. Okay. But we want to make sure that what we study, okay, whatever relationship that we find is accountable and valid or can be trusted, just like science. Okay, so then we use scientific methods. So scientific methods you will learn in research methodology lah. Okay, but point here is what? Is that when we talk about social science and when we talk about scientific theory, it is not an everyday theory. it must follow specific rules. It is very strict and it has a lot of processes. Okay, can you follow? All right. Now, first, we are social scientists. You should by now know why we want to become scientists and what it means to be scientists. Okay, it means what? It means that you are somewhat following specific rules. Okay, and as social scientists, we want to study causality. What causes what? Okay, so in psychology, we want to look at how, okay, the mind processes affects people's behavior, for example. Okay, or in sociology, we want to learn about how we interact with other people. Okay, there is always something that causes something. Why is it important to learn that? So that we can explain things that are happening around us. Okay, but to get to that causal relationship, we must do the investigation. Okay, you cannot just think, oh, okay, just because I believe it's true, it's going to be true. Cannot. You must prove it. So how to prove it? By adopting scientific method. Okay, so when you use scientific method, then only you can come out with a hypothesis. Okay, so what is a hypothesis? The testable prediction. Okay, now what's the difference between hypothesis and relationship? Okay, causal relationship is still somewhat like an assumption. Okay, just now you say the theory is, I believe that people who go to university have better chance, okay, of getting a good job. All right, okay, so that is the relationship. But remember, we must use measurement. Okay, so to measure, okay, we must identify specifically how are we going to prove it. So usually when you do research, you cannot do research on everyone. You must find a small group of example. Okay, so hypothesis, okay, will try to explain this, okay, in a way that can be tested. Just now we say, for example, right, okay, people who go to university get better job. But that's very big. How are you going to test? How are you going to measure? So you can say, for example, in your hypothesis, okay, what we call it, IUM graduates with a CGPA of above 3.5 will get job in under 1 year. Can you see or not? It is testable. That means what? You can measure. Can you follow what I'm trying to say? Hypothesis is a more specific relationship that you can measure, you can count. Why do we want to count? Because we want to be scientific, remember? Because we want to show this is the evidence. Oh, you don't believe me that university education will get you better job? Look at this study. This study has counted and measured, and you can believe it. It shows that students who get 3.5 and above get job earlier. It's evidence, you cannot deny. Just like science, 100 Celsius, water will go boiling. Okay, can you follow? Why do we have to go through this? Okay, so you can get your mindset and understand, okay, what we mean by doing research and what we mean by social science and why we need theory. Okay, that when we talk about doing research or when we talk about scientific methods or theories, it's a world of specifics, it's a world of rules. Okay, that is meant to try to explain certain relationship. Okay, so if you have, okay, hypothesis, if you use the right methods, you have the right theory, okay, then you can say what you are doing is empirical. Okay, what do we mean by empirical? Empirical means, okay, the relationship I said just now can be proven. I can show you. Okay, like I said just now, what can I show you? I can show you the statistics that show people who get 3.5 and above get job under 2 months, for example. This is evidence. I can give you the percentages. I can give you the mean, median, and things like that. So that is what empirical. because it has evidence. So far can follow? Alright? Okay? Okay, so what's this? This is just your brain right now. What is Madam talking about? Okay? Alright, so I hope your brain is blue, not red. Okay? Oh no, not good. Blue brain is not good. Okay? Don't be thinking things that are blue. Okay, just hope that your brain is doing well. Okay? Now, so just now I already give you an overview, right? Social science. Okay? Why do we want to be considered scientific? Okay? But unfortunately, no matter how good your measurement is, okay, how strong your hypothesis is, we are still social science. We can never get 100% correct. That's why when you study statistics, remember they always got the reliability of 95%, okay, or 0.05. What's that? It means that there's this gap of definitely cannot fit 100%. Okay, that even though those who get 3.5 get job in between around 2 months, there will definitely be 1 or 2 that would not get a job. Maybe they choose to get married. Okay, maybe they just don't want to work. Okay, so that is the challenge with social science. Because why? We study human. Can you follow? All right, when we study bacteria, no problem. By 100%, they will die. Okay, but when we study human, okay, we're very unique, right? Okay, all of us can be the same and very different at the same time. Okay, why? Because most of the significant and interesting forms of human behavior cannot be measured. Okay, remember I said just now, everything must be measurable. What do we mean by measurable? We can put it into numbers. Then only we can be like science. Okay? But then human behaviors, how do you measure a lot of human behaviors? For example, how do you measure happiness? Okay, how do you measure happiness? I want to see your faces. Where is the happy face? See, everybody switch off their camera already. No happy faces. Okay, now only switch on. Fine. Now give me a smile so I can measure who's happy and who's not happy. Okay, Farahin is happy, Shadan is happy, Yudi is happy, I don't know, Muaz is happy or crying. Okay, so so how do we measure happy? Can I just say, oh, everybody in this class is smiling, so they are happy? Is this true? Sometimes people smile because they're sad. Okay, so that's the problem with us. Okay, now you want to do an index to study happiness. Who is happier? Sometimes they do the research, right? Or Malaysians are the happiest people in the world. Those kind of research, you cannot believe that. Okay, so now just in case I say I give you a research, okay, you must study how people's happiness. How do you do it? Then we must start to put rules. We must start to define what we mean by happy. Can you follow? So that's why we said just now, all right? We must study a specific relationship, must have specific hypothesis. Everything must be measurable. Okay, so you must define what you mean by happy. Okay, happy means a person smiles 3 hours a day. Okay, happy means she eats 2 times a day. Happy means, what does happy means? What else? Tell me. Happy means if, yes.
Relationship.
Sorry, what? Can I hear you?
A stable relationship with your partner.
Okay, relationship with your partner.
Yeah,
okay, how
yeah.
many partners you have, Muaz?
Me? I'm talking about being married. When you're married,
Okay.
actually.
All right. So relationship, if they are in a relationship, they are happy. Usually not. That's the opposite. Okay. But point is what? So you cannot say happy in general. You must narrow down what we mean by happy. Okay. So happy can only mean if you smile, If you have relationship, if you eat 2 times, that's the only type of happy that you can prove. Can you follow?
But madam, maybe you can eat just because you're hungry, but you are sad.
That's why. Okay, like me, I eat happy, sad, angry, everything also eat. Okay, yeah, that's the challenge. Okay, Xiangri, the challenge is when we study human, it's very hard to measure. But in research, if you still want to study, you must narrow it down. You must put rules specifically what you mean by happy. Although my definition just now, eating, smiling, having relationship may not match what you mean by happy, but this is the happy that I am going to measure. This is the happy that my research is about. Can you follow? All right. So this is the challenge. Like I said, we cannot be like science, that everybody is the same. Everything is black and white. You will get the same result every time. Cannot. Because when we study, okay, happiness in Malaysia is different from happiness in China. Is very different in happiness in, for example, Jordan. Different countries have different interpretation of happy. Okay, so it's different, quite difficult for us because it's hard to measure human behavior, right? And then human behavior is exceedingly complex. Like you said just now, Xiangru, we're really complex, right? When we're happy, we eat. When we're sad, also we eat. Okay? And some people, all right, when they're happy, when they're sad, okay, they like to pretend to be happy. So we're complex. You know what's complex or not? All right? Very difficult to define.
Complicated.
Complicated, yes. Humans are complicated. And some people are more complicated than others. All right? So how do we how can we be scientific? This is again, all right, these challenges tells us why we need to be scientific, why we need to put measurements. Can you follow? Because we want to study humans and their behaviors, but humans are complex. Okay? So we can never claim that we want to study a very broad behavior. We can study a specific behavior that is strictly defined. Can you follow? All right? Okay? And then humans have goals and are self-reflexive. We are always changing. Okay? Today, okay, you eat, you have relationship, you sleep, you are happy. But in 5 years, that would make you unhappy. Can you follow what I'm saying? Maybe now you like the color red. Can you promise me that in 10 years you will still like the color red?
Of course not.
Cannot. Because sometimes we don't even know ourselves. Okay? And humans have goals, we change, okay? We are reflexive. Okay? So this is again why in social science, we must do things with rules when we do research. Okay? When we want to investigate humans' relationship or human behaviors. Okay? When we to study, okay, the makeup preferences of girls in UIA. Okay? You can only say that this research is at a particular time. That's why you do sampling. Okay? Okay, you find, or for example, okay, in 2021, when we did the research, we found that girls like to wear pink lipstick. You measured, yes, but your result is specific to that time. Can you follow? All right. So humans are reflexive, and then we have goals, okay? So when we have goals, our needs, our desires often change. All right? Okay? And it's also a challenge for the researcher when you want to do the research. Okay? You are supposed to do an interview, for example. Okay? You need to interview a person, but the person does not like you, so he will not give you the right answer. Okay? Humans are complex. Or when you do survey, you admit it, all of you, when you do survey, do you actually read word by word or you just tick, 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 tick? Okay, most of the time you take the middle ground, number 3. Okay, not to disagree, not to agree. Middle ground lah, easy. Okay, so when we do that as respondents, okay, we're giving the research false results. Okay, so when we do research, then usually the data that we get when we study humans, okay, we cannot get 100% correct. Okay, and then the simple notion of causality is sometimes troubling when it is applied to ourselves. Okay, so there is this theory called the third person effects theory. Okay, what is this third person effects theory? Okay, so this theory suggests, okay, that when it comes to usually negative things, we tend to think that other people are more affected than us. But if it's something that is considered positive, all right, we like to think that we are better informed than others. For example, okay, we all know, right, for example, YouTube is bad for you because you watch too much. Okay, but if I were to ask, most of you will say, yes, I watch too much, but I know lah when to stop. But it's my sister who cannot stop. It's my roommate that's always. Or okay, I need to educate my parents. They don't know how to stop watching YouTube. Because we always tend to think other people are more affected than us. Can you follow what I'm saying? Third person effect. Okay, so this theory is called third person effect, but actually it's just human nature, isn't it, right? Okay, we always believe, those people, okay, for example, when we talk politics, if that person, another person, okay, supports a party that you don't like, you think that that person is wrongly informed, that you are the right one. Okay, so this is human relationship. There is a causality, okay, but people do research and they can come up with a theory. Why do we have to use theory? Because theory is something that has been proven many times before. That other people have done the research and they use this theory. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? Okay. So why is this a challenge when we do research? Because when we interview people, we hardly get right answer. Okay. Can you follow? Because people will always try to be defensive when you talk about them. Okay? And it's the same thing as you the researcher. Sometimes you have your own values. Okay? So this is the challenge to scientific methods when you want to apply to studying humans. So why do we need theory? Okay, theory, okay, there's so many definitions. So in exam, don't worry, okay, I'm not going to ask you what did Barat and Davis define theory, no. But you need to explain according to your own understanding. Okay, theory is just anything that try to explain a relationship. Okay, but all right, when we talk about scientific theories that we want to use in our research work, okay, it cannot just be an explaining a relationship. It has to be any organized set of concepts, explanations, and principles of some aspect of human experience. This means what? Okay, that when we talk about scientific theory, it is following rules, very specific. Okay, and it can only explain some aspect. It cannot explain all aspect of human behaviors. So different school of thoughts will define theory in different ways depending on the needs of the theorist and on beliefs about the social world and the nature of knowledge. Now, so what I have done so far, okay, is that I have explained to you what is social science, okay, why we need to use scientific methods, because our problem is we're studying humans. Okay, now, so why do we need theory? So theory is something a concept that has been tested many times before that you can use to support your assumptions. Okay, so that is theory in general, but actually there are many types of theories. Okay, why there are so many types of theories? Because different people are coming up with a theory. Right? Now, for example here, okay, in communication, there are hundreds of theories. I cannot explain to you each single one, but I can help you understand what is the fundamental of each theory. Okay, generally theory can be grouped into four that we will discuss later. Okay, so why are they grouped into four? Because although you have hundreds of theories, usually certain theories will share similar characteristics. Okay, so we will focus on that characteristics instead of focusing on trying to memorize all theories. Okay, now each theory is different because theory have goals. Okay, what is the goal of a theory? Okay, some theory the goal is yes to make change. Okay, but some theory the goal is just to explain what is going on. Okay, you can do a research. Oh, okay, a research that tells you, oh, IUM girls like to wear pink lipstick. Okay, for example, there's a theory called uses and gratification. So when you use that theory, it's just going to explain to you, oh, girls like to wear pink lipstick. But there are other theories that you can choose that will try to say, oh, pink lipstick is wrong. Okay? Now, I hope I'm not confusing you, all right? I'm just trying to say that different theories have different goals. You want to study, for example, okay, girls and their lipstick color. It's one type of relationship, but there are many ways to study that relationship. That is why you must choose your theories carefully. Okay? And then, okay, the way the theory, what we call it, view the nature of reality, what is knowable, worth knowing, or their ontology. Okay, so what does this mean? This is quite theoretical. Ontology, epistemology, axiology, what is that? Right? How do you differentiate theories? Theories have different goals and theories have different ontology. What do we mean ontology? Ontology is how the theory looks at reality. Okay? Some theory believes that human reality can be changed. Okay? Some theories believe, okay, reality cannot be changed. So what do we mean by this? Okay? So, ontology, okay, how do I better explain this? Okay? The view of the nature of reality, what is knowable, worth knowing, and their ontology. Okay? So, like I said just now, reality. Okay? Some theories believe, okay, that when you study, what I call it, a certain condition or a certain situation, you are meant to only study it from like a third person. You are not meant to change it, to change the reality. Okay, I want to study, okay, the behavior, we call it, the influence of, no, I'm not sharing, yes, I forgot, because I wanted to see your face just now. Okay, you were happier then, I can see it's rapidly going down. Not so happy now. We're talking about ontology, axiology. Okay, too many logies. Let me go back. Where is my screen? Okay, here. Okay, we want to talk about, sorry, right? I forgot about the screen. Now, reality. Different theories looks at reality as different. Okay, some theory says that we can change reality. Some theories say we cannot change reality. We can only observe. Okay? All right. Never mind. For now, you just get the definition in general. Later, when we talk about the categories of the theories, then you will understand this better. All right. So, if a theory, okay, believes that what we call it, reality cannot be changed, okay, that reality is only meant to be observed, they will use different types of methods when they do their research. And this comes to epistemology. Okay, what kind of methods they use, okay, to investigate. Epistemology is methods, ontology is reality, and axiology in values. Okay, so different theory have different values. All right, so if you believe reality cannot be changed, what would be your value? Your value would be just objective. You are not attached to the research. Okay, what do I mean by this? You may study, okay, what is the relationship of Netflix on Muslim girls? If you think reality cannot change, then your study will just look at what you can observe. Okay, what are the attitudes of Muslim girls when they watch Netflix? Okay, what happens when they watch? It's mostly observe only because you don't believe you can change the girl's reality. All right, and when we do that, okay, then you choose methods that only can do that. For example, like survey. Survey is a type of method that is not what we call it intrusive. Okay, we just ask it, do you like it? What do you do with it? That's it. All right. But if you are, for example, a critical theorist, okay, you not only want to know, okay, what is the relationship between, okay, Muslim girls and Netflix. You want to identify what is wrong with that relationship, okay, and you want to propose change in that relationship. Now that is what we mean by ontology, reality. You believe, yes, Muslim girls are watching too much Netflix. Okay, I want to do something about it. Things must change. Then your version, your understanding of reality is different. So you will use a different type of method. Probably you will do experiments, you will do interviews, and that is epistemology. Okay, and then theory also have, okay, values. Okay, what is your human value? What is the role of the research? Okay, their axiology. Okay, now social science. When we say science, okay, it's actually objective. Okay, and science is also another word for secular. You know that? All right, science does not incorporate the ideas of God, religion, Allah. Okay, when scientists tell you water will boil at 100%, they will not tell you, oh, because Allah says so. All right, they will give you scientific evidences. You know, in the olden days, all right, when humans started to modernize themselves, okay, science is used as an opposite to religion. Okay, because science is based on what? Human ability to think. All right, can you follow? Now, axiology. So when we become social scientists, generally we adopt this value. Okay, we detach, okay, religious values or whatever life, what we call it, traditional values. When we become scientists, we try to be objective. Remember I said just now? So when we study, for example, Muslim girls watching Netflix, if I am taking a hardcore stand of being a social scientist, okay, I cannot question. I cannot judge if Muslim girls like to watch sexual content. I cannot judge because I am a scientist, remember? Okay? I cannot judge, for example, okay, if Muslim girls are watching too much, I don't know, what you call it, violent content or things that are very un-Islamic. I cannot judge. I can only observe and explain. Okay, that is a strict interpretation of social science. But unfortunately, we are all Muslims. Okay, Islamic researcher. Can we maintain this idea of being objective? That we do not include our values when we do research. Can or cannot as Muslims? All right? Oh,
No, madam.
yes?
No,
Sorry?
cannot.
Okay. Yes, if we were to take social science values, yes. But we don't really want to do that. Okay? Especially later on, you will see, okay, that as researcher, as someone who does investigations, who look at human behaviors, we have a responsibility to make change. What is the purpose of you studying, okay, the problems, okay, social problems or mental problems if you're not proposing change? Can you follow what I'm saying? Okay, so then there is the idea of this axiology that theories also have values. Actually, all right, in the 1950s or 1960s, okay, when social science was just getting prominent, value was not allowed. Okay, that you study like a scientist. Whether your heart says this is right or wrong, you cannot follow. You follow the method. Okay, but the theories, okay, have evolved and they realize this is not logical. Some studies, some research work requires value. All right, so as an Muslim scholar or a Muslim researcher, there will be times where you need to include your Islamic values in the research. Okay? All right. So how will this apply? Later I will basically show you lah how, right? So this is just trying to say that when you do research later on, you must know that some theory, okay, is very scientific in the sense that it does not allow you to comment more than what is being observed. But some theories allow you to give your opinion or probably to blame someone. Okay? So this is what we mean, all right? That theory in general is just a set of concepts. But how it is being applied depends on the type of theories. So when we discuss it like this, then you should already know this is very different from just the term everyday theory. Okay, so or everyday assumption. Now we're talking about scientific theory. So, okay, to better understand, okay, theories, okay, there are 4 major categories of communication theory. But actually, it's actually 4 categories of social science theory. Okay, even in sociology, psychology, political science, okay, we usually share theory. Okay, why do we share? Because we're studying the same thing, human relations and human behaviors. Now, so when we talk about science and being purely scientific theory, we call it post-positivist. Okay, positivist is also a term that we usually relate to science. Positivist means, okay, and what we call it, based entirely on the human thinking, on logic. Okay, positivist. All right, so these are theories that focus on logic only, on measurement only. Okay, the theory is based on empirical observation guided by scientific method. This is the most scientific theories lah. And later on, you will notice a lot of the theories are post-positivist. So if this theory is really based on scientific method, only based on human, what we call it, logic, all right, if we go back to this idea of, what we call it, view nature of reality, then we can see that this type of theory sees reality as something to be observed only, that you cannot change, that you cannot put your values. Post-positivist theories. Okay, now what is this? Okay, these 4, they are categories, they are like umbrellas. Okay, we try to understand these four, then it would be so much easier for you to learn all the smaller theories. For example, when I mentioned agenda setting theory. Okay, so it's very popular, but actually agenda setting is under which group? Okay, so it can be under post-positivist and critical theory. Alright. So whenever you come upon a new theory, maybe I don't even know, I have never heard of that theory, but you found that theory. Okay, if you already understand these four categories, you will know how to apply that particular theory. Okay, so some theory are critical. Okay, that when they engage in the work or when they use this theory, okay, they already have a bias. Post-positivism cannot be biased, objective. Okay, but critical theory is biased. Okay, is biased towards someone, towards something. When we say, for example, the relationship between Muslim girls and Netflix, when you use critical theory, automatically you're trying to say somebody is doing something wrong. Okay, you study influence of Netflix on Muslim girls. If you use post-positivist theory, you can only measure things that are obvious. Okay, or you can say, oh, girls watch 20 hours a day. Okay, and their favorite program is Emily in Paris or Squid Game or whatever. Things that you can only observe and measure. Habits. But if you use critical theory, you can say, oh, it's more than just them watching. Okay, that when girls watch Netflix, okay, they end up following Western culture. Can you see? Here you put values. Here you want to try to change something. Can you understand? Critical theory. Okay, and then you have cultural theory. Now, this cultural theory is actually in the middle between critical and post-positivist. Okay, critical theory can be quite extreme. Okay, for example, they will argue, oh, Muslim girls are being westernized by Netflix. Okay, or K-pop is affecting the religiosity or culture of the Muslim girls. Okay, true, right? Cannot argue. Yes. Okay, Netflix or K-pop is changing the Muslim girls' culture. Okay, the way we dress, the way you dress, the way you eat. Okay, your taste in boys, for example. Okay, K-pop have definitely changed taste in men. Is this true or not? So now, okay, the man must be very fair, very good skin. Yeah, then only handsome. Is this true or not true? Be careful. I think true. Be careful. Don't go for like that. You must make sure your boyfriend is uglier than you. Okay? Never take someone. Okay, your boyfriend has better skin than you are. No, that means he spends too much time on his face, probably. Okay? All right. So this is a joke that's not such a joke lah, but true. Okay. So it has changed our taste. Okay. So post-positivist theory will say, okay lah, change in taste. What to do? The world is changing. We used to like white men. Now we like whiter men. Okay. So according to post-positivists, this is his observation, or we now know the taste in men is different when people watch Netflix and K-pop. But critical theory say cannot accept. Okay, so this is what? This will always affect, for example, our values. Then we cannot appreciate our own color, for example. Now we don't like brown color, brown skin color. Okay. Or we cannot accept that actually, okay, all the Malays, all the Arab boys here are equally handsome. Okay, so critical theory say we cannot accept. But cultural theory, okay, is usually try to become less extreme like critical, but it does put value, unlike post-positivists. Okay, say yes. Okay, girls are watching too much Netflix, too much K-pop. It is changing their taste. But, for example, okay, when Aisha watches K-pop, she has a different experience from when Mei-Ling watches K-drama. Can you get what I'm saying? So cultural theories try to appreciate differences. Okay, can you follow? And for example, they can say, oh yes, watching Netflix is very bad for the Muslim girls because they watch all this Western lifestyle. But if you ask the Muslim girls, because cultural theories will require you to ask the girls first before you say that they are being influenced. Maybe the girls would say, oh, when I watch this Western film, I don't really care about the content. I'm really looking at the cinematography. That I want to become a filmmaker. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? Okay, post-positivists will not tell you what specifically the girls experience. They can just give you a general overview. Okay, critical theory is sometimes, okay, because they want to create change. And critical theory always see things in a big manner. Okay, the impact of Netflix on Muslim girls in general. Okay, impact probably negative. But cultural theories tries to appreciate, okay, the relationship, the audiences. Can you follow so far? All right. Okay, so you have post-positivist, critical, and cultural. Lastly, we have a normative. This is the easiest theory. Okay, this theory is basically a theory that explains what we call it ideals. Okay, and when we talk about media and communication, okay, how a media system should be structured or operated in order to conform to or realize a set of ideal social values. Now, when we do research, usually we will use either cultural, critical, or post-positivist. Normative theories, okay, they don't really investigate human, okay, or impact on humans, but they study the system in general. Can you follow so far? All right, never mind. Today is just to give you like an idea. All right, don't be nervous. It's just to give you an idea because in later topics we'll go in detail. All right, so today you should just know what we mean by social science. Why do we have to be scientific? What is the problem in social science? And why do we need theory and why theories are different? You must get that. Okay? So here you have the normative theory. An example of normative theory is, for example, media freedom. Okay, the Western idea is 100% freedom. That is a normative theory. According to them, that is the best way. Okay, that is an example of normative theory. Media freedom, liberalism. Those are normative. Okay, or conservatism, also normative. Okay, it's just giving you an idea of the system. All right. So when we talk about, okay, media theory, all right, especially, all right, you can say that actually there is this development. Okay, originally, okay, media or communication, even social science in general, it depends. Okay, so Salina here asked, where's your question just now? Okay, does the critical theory only focus on the downside of a particular action or it depends on the relationship? Of course, it depends on the relationship. Okay, it's not always negative, but it always tries to put somebody responsible. Can you follow? All right, somebody is doing something, so they try to point finger to somebody, whether it's good or bad. Okay. All right, so never mind. Later on, we will discuss in more detail. Okay, all right, welcome. Okay, so here, when we talk about media theory specifically, all All right, our discipline, media and communication, is still young. It was only until the 1950s that we truly were considered a discipline. It was only until the 50s that they actually learned about communication in the universities. Can you follow what I'm saying? All right, they have the first department of communication in the US. I think it was only in the 50s. Okay, so we are considered young, for example. Okay, biology has been taught since the 1500s or 1300s. Okay, so we are a modern discipline. Why are we modern? Because media is modern, right? Medium is modern, TV is new, radio is new. Yes, we have books, but the impact of books is not the same as the impact of radio. Okay, so in the early years, okay, there was no need for media and communication. But as technology, okay, as telecommunication technology became more, what we call it, sophisticated, there is a need for us to study the impact of these technologies on the humans. Okay, so that's why we are still new. So early on, okay, in the early 1800s to the 1950s, when people was first introduced to what we call it, telecommunication technology, television, radio. In the early years, they only have radio. All right, radio and telegraph. So what was the impact? Okay, how do people theorize the impact of this media? So generally in the early years, they call it mass culture trend, because they generally believe that media will bring bad effect on people because it is considered mass. Mass means what? Mass means a lot but the same. Okay, our media today is not so mass. Okay, internet is very focused, targeted. Mass media is like what? Because this is hard for you to understand because you're a younger generation. But in the old days, okay, you have one radio station, the whole country listens to that radio station. So that is mass. Can you follow? No matter whether you're Chinese, Indian, Arab, Malay, young, old, you will be listening to the same program. Mass. Now, would that radio be powerful or not? Very powerful. So in the early years, they put so much power in the media. They believe that the media have so much effects. That's why they call it mass culture trend. Mass society and mass culture trend. Okay, all right. It's already 1:59. I would like to continue, but I'm assuming that some of you have class at 2. Is this true or not?
Yes, madam.
Okay.
Yes, madam.
We'll have to stop for now, but I think I have managed to cover almost all of the first chapter. So if you have any problem or any questions, okay, you can ask now, or you can ask in the WhatsApp group. Anybody have any questions? Yes? No? All okay? All right. Okay, I am assuming that all of you are rather confused. But it's okay because it's the first class, all right? You should get some idea. And as we go through the coming weeks, okay, things should become much clearer. All right? Okay, so if there's no question for now.
Madam.
Yes, Muaz.
Yeah, the video, where the video recording, when will it be upload? Is it
Oh, yes, of course. I will upload or I will share it with you soon.
okay.
Okay? Just
Thank you.
remind me, but I will share the video recording.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So if there's nothing else, we end the class today with Tasbih Kafarah and 1 As. Okay. Assalamualaikum. Thank you, everyone. See you next week.
Thank you, madam.
Have a nice
Thank you,
day.
madam.
Thank you,
madam.
Thank you, madam.
All right.